Yes, my friends, good evening. Effectively, today we have a new meeting and we have to try to, okay, just a second. Nowadays, we need to share very important subjects. Effectively, the subject matter that's gathering us today is the detox products from FuXion, which comprehends six products as what we're going to see next. But before this, I'm going to leave and come back because this square thing that appears there is bothering me a lot. I don't know how to make it disappear. Um, I think it will disappear there. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was saying that the first thing I wanted to do was to show you this Functions Products matrix because this matrix is the simplest way of understanding how they are organized and especially about how to recommend the products. You see on this side, on the right hand side of your screens, you can see a diagram, the famous 1, 2, 3 of function. Effectively, the first recommendation is to do this 1, 2, 3. These three simple steps. You're going to remember it very easily because it's 1, 2, 3. First of all, number one says cleaning, and effectively, number one implies products for cleaning and balance. And these products, you are seeing them here. First, there, Connex One liquid fiber, and there's also Floral Leaf, which I put it in a privileged position as a source of fiber. Alpha Balance, Berry Balance, and Rigset. It's a product that's still pending for um, entering the United States. Now we have step one, which is the one that we're going to develop today, of cleaning and balance. Prior to step number two, which is the one of regeneration. Regeneration implies increasing in a sensitive way the protein profile of our daily food. That means including proteins, more proteins in our daily nutrition. Why? Because the protein demand in our body of a person or of a person that who's not practicing sports, a sedentary person is 1 gram of protein per each kilogram of weight. However, in the current health context that the world is going through, nowadays the recommendation is even increasing since the immune system depends at a great extent of the quantity and quality of the proteins that we intake. Nowadays, specialists agree that we should increase that 1 gram of protein per kilogram of weight to increase it to 1.2 or 1.5. That means from 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per every kilogram of weight in order to guarantee the organism the regeneration process, the right regeneration process, which is step two. And then step three is the revitalization. Revitalization, where we have the products that are sources of vitamins, minerals, and even of bionatural energy. So first of all, we're talking about cleaning and balance, and then the second, regeneration through a better protein profile in our diet. And third of all, we have the revitalization through the intake of vitamins, minerals, and natural energies rich products. Now, when I've gone through the first step, which is cleaning and balance, when I've gone through the baseline system, then we have
¿Cuál es mi principal
identifying in this matrix what my main health problem is, what my main need is, or or what specific aspects of my physiology is the one I want to improve. For instance, some people may tell me, Doctor, you know what? I'm more than 60 years of age and I would like to feel younger, more full of energy. So that person will locate them in the anti-age system. Will recommend a person again protein or bioprotein like protein active. Will re as bioprotect or bioprotein, and will recommend extra source of energy and an extra source of fiber, as it would be flora leaf with probiotics. If the need of this person, on the other hand, is the body weight control because it's got a little bit more of overweight, we will start recommending the fit proteins so that later on we recommend a product based on vitamins and minerals, any source of fiber as flora leaf. And then to the consumption of these products, of these baseline products, we, as it is, I repeat, proteins, minerals, and fiber, we will add the the products on the right hand side. This is the logic of this matrix. What we've done is to organize the products according to the specific needs that we could have. Let's note something important to finish here, and it is that the products for the cleaning and balance are located inside the immune system. Why? Because from the nutritional point of view, a good clearance, cleaning of the body is essential for an appropriate functioning, for an appropriate performance of our immune system. That's why they're located here. And we've used a color that's a bit different, but really they are part of a good immune system, of a good powerful defense system, having a good cleaning process. So coming up, we'll see what products are included in the system, in the baseline system, in order to get that cleaning and balance. So the products of a baseline system or core systems are the ones that you see on screen. I'm talking about the products that are available in the United States. First of all, we have Pronex One. Pronex One is is a soft or light laxative based on prunes and fiber. This product is a soft laxative, and the logic of usage of a laxative product is to use it only when there are symptoms of constipation, where constipation is a lack of evacuation of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, lack of excretion. Those days we should recommend Prunex one. And then to down to the center we have two source products, sources of prebiotic fiber. Prebiotic fiber, it receives that name because it's the main food or source of energy for probiotic bacteria. Probiotic bacteria already live in our or in our bowel as part of our intestinal flora, but we'll see the reasons why we should so to speak, feed them frequently. So flora live liquid fiber are sources of fiber, but not any kind of fiber, as we will see, but prebiotic fibers. And on the right hand side, you will find two very important products also for the internal clearance. Alpha Balance for the excretion of internal fluids, essentially the blood, and to balance the internal pH. And also we have Berry Balance for the excretion on or clearance of our urinary channels. So these products are called for depuration of the body, for depurators. So we'll start the description of the makeup and the goodnesses of these products, talking about Prunex One. As I had mentioned before, Prunex One is a herbal tea with a laxative effect, with a light laxative effect, and it is part of the base um, system of our FuXion products. As I had mentioned, a good food is also part of a good nutrition, and it is also important for the performance of all of our physiological functions, including the appropriate functioning of our defense system, our immune system. This product, I can guarantee you that it has 100% natural flavor. It goes among raspberry, and I use it as to improve the flavor of other products that I don't like much. But this product is amazing. Just to tell you, Mocha tea has a flavor that I like it, but I don't like it much. So I add a little bit, half of spoon of Prunex one to local tea, and that way I can give it a better flavor. I would say it is a delicious taste, a delicious flavor. Just try it. I add a little bit of this product to give a better flavor, and I do it with some other products. So this story, I'm telling it to you so that you realize that the flavor of Prunex One is a delicious flavor. What can I mention to you about the components of Prunex One? As you all know, the FuXion philosophy makes us only use 100% natural active ingredients. That means all active ingredients in Prunex One come from nature. And as you all know, we are in a permanent study of the best active ingredients available out there. And that explains why Fuxion products have gone through 7 generations in their evolution. Today, we are in the 7th generation of products represented by free label products. But this makeup, this composition of our products, as I mentioned, have been changing on time because every certain time, the whole professional Fuxion team reviews the best active ingredients available and it does the necessary changes so that our consumers, our distributors, our Fuxioners always have the best active ingredients available at that time. So much like that that coming up, I want to show you a small video, a small film where we'll see the description of some active ingredients that are considered the most important ones of natural source for the prevention and treatment of constipation. In this video, we'll watch a team of physicians and biologists who are independent, who do not work for FuXion. They are not advisors of FuXion. They're independent, standalone professionals who are giving opinions about several active ingredients of natural source that are very used ancestrally for the constipation control. For those, for my friends who do not speak Spanish, don't worry because you have simultaneous translation of the video. It's a short video, I promise. So coming up, let's see this short video where we'll see the explanation of a main natural active ingredients for constipation, and then we'll continue mentioning about Prunex one. So let me just go ahead and set the video here, and we'll share the screen with you. So let's please pay close attention to this video. Medical board. Very good. Let's start with the block with Lorena. We have started the program. You had also mentioned that you had brought pastas, linseed, tamarind, and algae seed. And physicians were explaining to us how they work, how these dry nuts actually work, but how can we intake them? How can we consume them? Well, let's say that one of the initial foods in this process of getting to know a bit more about Spanish, the Spanish when they come to America is linseed, is grapes. These dry nuts as guindons and subsequently in the distribution of tamarind, we're talking about products that are not native from our lands. This is what Doctor was mentioning in the beginning, and it's a great product that we can also use. But that this product now, starting from the protein component, the mucilages that it has, they're going to make the intestinal transit to be more fluent, right? And the not the shell that actually has fiber, the shell, and because the body is not going to be able to assimilate these shells, it's not going to be able to assimilate them or absorb them. So it's going to make the body to try to eliminate them, to excrete them through the movements of the bowel. And if it is in presence of water, then all of that is going to be excreted in a normal way, in a natural way, and it's not going to cause any pain. So it is very advisable to use these products. This product, for example, is very these raisins are very easy to consume. We can try to intake them in the morning. They already have this mucilages that help us in our movement, and How much should I take? Just a little, just four raisins in the morning. And if you prefer, in at lunchtime, you can take four raisins also before lunch, and that way to be able to help the transit of food to be normal in our bowel, in our intestine. And another product that can help us is guindons. Some people actually grab three of these in the night and they leave it there, being hydrated with water. And in the morning, they just go ahead and with a glass of water, they are actually going to intake these guindons. And we're talking about two things there: water plus fiber, right? Both things. Yes, right. And someone may say, okay, can I do the same thing with the raisins? Yes, sure you can, because you can hydrate them from the previous night and we could drink the water. Just water is okay. Well, let's listen to the quantities. Three guindons in the evening, and it's okay. But there are some people who actually eat half a kilogram of raisins. We need to remember that raisins have a little bit of an elevated level of sugar, so we shouldn't abuse. In that case, the best thing is to consume a bit more of guindons because guindons have the presence of less sugar compared to raisins. Raisins are more sugar rich in sugar. And then here we have linseed, which is the main component of this beverage created in our country. And linseed or flax, when we cook it, is going to produce a mucilage. It's going to produce some kind of jelly, some kind of um, that can be mixed with barley, with other ingredients, and that can be also part of a beverage that we could intake it with our food. So linseed flax is amazing in order to help us prepare our fruits, our beverages. Okay, very important. What we've seen. Why? First of all, because some natural source active ingredients are mentioned. The best ones for this um, pack. They've talked about raisins. They've talked about guindons. They've talked about algae flour. They've talked about shells of some natural food, and they've talked about the linseed and the algae flour. Consider, according to this professional team, as the best active ingredients or seaweed. What is the problem with raisins? The high content of sugar. That's the counterpart, and that actually makes them not to be that advisable in regards to their daily intake because they can help us with constipation, but at the same time, they can induce overweight. So this knowledge had been gathered years before at FuXion and our professional team, and that's why, as we always say, we use the best active ingredients. First of all, or prunes, as what they're called in English. So these prunes are a fiber-rich fruit, but besides, they have some components or some carbohydrate source. And don't get scared because they may be carbohydrates, but the intake of carbohydrate is minimum. So don't worry about that. But these carbohydrates, along with fiber, stimulate at a great extent the intestinal movement. They facilitate the intestinal movement, which is key for preventing and treating constipation. When our intestine does its peristaltic movement in a regular way, in a healthy way, well, that is the way how we can avoid or we can leave a constipation picture. On the other hand, we have here psyllium or or psyllium. Psyllium is actually this fiber that we get from a plant from from plantago seed, and this seed precisely have this kind of fiber. You see that they contribute 10 times more soluble fiber than oat bran. And besides, it helps reduce flatulence and abdominal bloating. So this psyllium is some kind of very common fiber used for um, irritable colon. So it's very important for the prevention of constipation. Now to your left we have kelp. What is kelp? Is an algae. Remember that in the video they mentioned the seaweed meal. Well, kelp is some kind of um, seaweed meal rich in vitamins, minerals, and mucilage. This mucilage is important to induce intestinal evacuations. And finally, to your right hand side, in the formula of a product, you'll be able to find more ingredients. But what we have seen in the video, we have the linseed mucilage. As what you mentioned, or as what it was mentioned, it produces some kind of algae that facilitates a proper rhythm, a healthy rhythm of intestinal evacuations. So you see, the four most important natural source active ingredients, according to experts, as the most important ones, they're included in the Prunex 1 formula, and that is the reason why FuXion has created this product. As what my colleague was saying, Dr. Cabrera said we could take three prunes and put them in a glass to hydrate in the evening and to drink it in the following day, or to put some um, raisins and to put the seaweed meal. And of course, in order for you to get a seaweed meal, you need to go to the market and then try to grind it and so on and so forth. What we do at FuXion through biotechnology is to provide you with all these natural active ingredients already concentrated and stabilized and ready for its consumption, even combined in the proper conditions in order to give you the maximum effectiveness. So I think after watching the video and after analyzing the makeup of a product, the conclusion for all of us is that Prunex One is the best natural formula. And I'm saying it just in capital letters. Prunex One is the best natural choice for the prevention and treatment of constipation. It's not just my opinion, but as what we've seen, it is the opinion of many experts in the health arena. Then we'll see that inside the intestine, part of the mechanisms that regulate its functioning are associated to the presence of millions of bacteria at that level. In other words, human intestine is a real ecosystem that's made up by millions and millions of bacteria, so that you can realize of the width of this ecosystem. I'm just going to mention one important fact. In 1 cubic centimeter or in 1 milliliter of intestinal content, there are more bacteria than human beings on Earth. Let me repeat myself. In just 1 cubic centimeter of intestinal content, there are more microorganisms, more bacteria than human beings on Earth. And Catholics, for those who are Catholics, I can tell you that there are more bacteria than human beings on Earth, going from start back to Adam and Eve in all history. So this complexity, it shows you the complexity of a system. However, that complexity of our system generates our biome different important functions. Indeed, the intestinal movement that we talked about in the case of Prunix 1, that peristaltism is also influenced by metabolites. That means substance of waste that these organisms produce, debris. These metabolites are called short chain fatty acids. These short chain fatty acids stimulate the intestinal movement. What are those microorganisms responsible for the production of this short chain fatty acid? They are a population of bacteria called probiotics. Pro means in favor of, and bio means life. So these probiotic bacteria are part of the antagonist flora. antagonists of who at that level? Of other kinds of flora that are potentially dangerous. So in this ecosystem, there is a real antagonism among bacteria. We're going to call them good bacteria and potentially dangerous bacteria. What is the problem in order to achieve a balance at an intestinal level? The problem lays in the fact that probiotic bacteria have an important action. However, they are more sensitive to changes on diets. They're more sensitive to changes, for instance, in the weather and geographical conditions. They're more sensitive also to the changes in our uh, nervous status. It is proven that our high stress levels, can decrease or can affect the intestinal flora. And what's more important, they're more sensitive to the action of antibiotics and other medications. So this makes our probiotic flora, called that way, probiotic flora or beneficial flora, generally have the predisposition to be reduced. That's why it is very advisable to intake probiotic cultures, which can provide us with a recolonization of our intestinal environment. Recolonize. And this is essential, transcendental. Why? Because how to now we know, and let's pay attention to this, that 70% of the human being's immunity is defined at an intestinal level. 70%. And this immune role of our intestinal system, our bowel, is very closely related to the presence of probiotic bacteria. That means probiotic bacteria ensure the right functioning of our immune system, our defensive system. It's so much like that a good balanced intestinal flora could ensure up to a 70% of the functioning of our defensive system, our immune system. That is the transcendence of probiotic flora, normal inhabitants of our intestine, which is recognized nowadays. However, as I was mentioning, and this is very important in the context that we're living, because many countries, even now, people in their desperation, trying to seek for a choice for the treatment of COVID-19, they start to self medicate themselves. Let's remember all the choices that have happened throughout the time. At one stage, they talk about hydrochlorics, they, and then they talked about citromycin, and then they talked about dexamethasone, and then they talked about ivermectin, and then all of these have taken people to self-medicate themselves without being aware of the damage that they're causing to the intestinal flora, to the beneficial flora. Therefore, we are very exposed today because our immune system has um, been affected in that beneficial flora that regulates the intestine. That's why FuXion created FloraLift. FloraLift is a combination of probiotic bacteria cultures, these beneficial bacteria for the intestinal function, combined with prebiotic fiber, which is that fiber that feeds, that strengthens the probiotic cultures. So these kinds of food that stimulate prebiotics are called symbiotic products. It's a product that fits in the symbiotic category because it's got prebiotic and plus probiotic. For the formulation of a probiotic, the most important thing is to choose a probiotic stems of recognized value in the colonization of the intestine and in exercising once they're settled in our intestine to generate beneficial effects. Why am I saying this? Because, for instance, many times people talk about yogurt, for instance, yogurt that we find at the supermarket. They talk about yogurt as a source of probiotic bacteria. And indeed, it is. It is. However, those probiotic bacteria used in the dairy industry to produce yogurt are bacteria that are chosen for their technological characteristics or capabilities. I mean, those stems are chosen to give yogurt a determined level of acidity, a determined level of flavor, and a determined level of consistency. Those are the criteria to choose a probiotic stem to produce yogurt. And it's not bad because for the manufacturer, what's most important is that the yogurt is commercially acceptable. But in the field of health, in the field of health, we need probiotic cultures that are supported by studies that guarantee their action. Okay, well, Fuxion has chosen two key cultures within Floralif, the stem Lactobacillus casei 011 and Lactobacillus acidophilus 021, and of course with Bifidobacterium bifidum. But however, the two first stems, Lactobacillus casei 011 and Lactobacillus acidophilus 021, come back supported by a set of studies that that support their capabilities of, first of all, colonizing the human intestine. They need to have that capability. A probiotic stem which cannot populate, cannot colonize the intestine, is a stem that is not going to achieve the most important mission, which is establishing itself at that level, first of all, and to produce an antagonism against those potentially dangerous bacteria. Second of all, what we need is that they have a beneficial effect in health. The cultures that I've mentioned a moment ago, for instance, have demonstrated their action in the prevention of diarrhea in children subject to intensive antibiotic therapy. This study was performed in the main pediatric or pediatrician's hospital in Lima, in burnt children, children that were burned for different reasons, for accidents, as an outcome of accidents, of accidents.
a una
And
antibiótico
these children are subject to a very anti or to probiotic therapy to prevent infection of soft tissues. However, this probiotic therapy or is antibiotic therapy is so intensive that it destroys its flora, its intestinal flora. So this product have demonstrated the capability of repopulating the intestinal flora after being subject to an intensive therapy. They've demonstrated an action of eradication of Helicobacter pylori, which is the causing of gastritis. It has also demonstrated an important action in the treatment of irritable intestine syndrome. So, backed by all these studies, is that we've included these probiotic cultures in the Floralif formula. But if you were thinking that Floralif only includes in its formulation probiotic cultures, you're wrong. Floralif has a rich formula as the probiotic cultures that we saw. It's got prebiotic fiber, which is a special type of prebiotic fiber that we'll see next. But it is a fiber that gets to the intestine. It's not digested and it acts in synergy with probiotics. I told you already, it is a source of energy, a source of nutrition for probiotic cultures that are already in the intestine. You have the granadilla pulp, which is a mucilage that also calms the um, stomach acidity, and besides, it's got an incredible input of vitamins and minerals. Besides the aguimanto extract, aguimanto is also known in the United States as the goldenberry. Aguimanto is a powerful antioxidant which improve the antioxidants defense at a level of our digestive system. And finally, two transcendental minerals right now, zinc, which among its multiple functions is an important cofactor for the good functioning of the defense system, and iron. It's also important for the generation of cells in our organism, and at this time, why not to say it, they participate at a level of a bone marrow in the regeneration of our immune system. So you see the generous composition, makeup of Floralif. Floralif is a daily consumption product. I would say it is mandatory, compulsory to consume it every day. We can consume it in the morning or intake it in the morning when we wake up with our stomach empty, we can intake it 30 minutes before lunch or dinner, especially if I want to reduce my body weight, because the input of fiber of Floraleaf makes that stomach gets full. And when I consume it 30 minutes before lunch and dinner, that generates in me a feeling of fullness, of fullness. That way, when I am going to have lunch or dinner, I can reduce the amount. Or I can intake Floraleaf half morning, half afternoon, but the aim is to consume it eh, always with our stomach empty. Now we have another important product for the intestinal cleaning, which is liquid fiber. As we know, there are three important factors for the prevention of constipation. Consumption of water should be not less than 2 liters of water a day. Fiber consumption, and write it down. It should be no less than 25 grams of fiber a day, and physical activity, at least to walk 30 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day. So 2 grams, 2 liters of water, 25 grams of fiber, and at least 30 minutes physical activity. Liquid fiber is this source of fiber which FuXion is inviting you to include in your daily diet to prevent constipation. And remember, when the quantity of fiber is increased in a diet, also the consumption of water needs to be increased, because if I consume fiber with low amount of water, that is going to generate constipation. So the more fiber you consume, the more water you must consume. But as I have promised you, FuXion does not incorporate in its products as Floraleaf or liquid fiber or mocha tea, as you can see on the screen. It has not included any kind of wild fiber. It has incorporated a patented type of fiber, which is called Synergy One or Synergy One, which is a combination of inulin, which is this fiber extracted from um, chicory, and it is also accompanied by oligofructose synergy. It's fibers of different sizes, and this combination of fiber increase its efficiency. This kind of fiber, specifically, this fiber is patented under the Synergy One brand, and it is backed by different studies that have demonstrated that effectively it favors a healthy intestinal evacuation, and they favor and a favorable rhythm of um, intestinal evacuation, and they improve the absorption of calcium at an intestinal level. All of that, as I'm repeating, backed by studies, by research. So here on your screen, you have, for instance, the references of a very important study performed in the United States, where it wa- where 8 grams of Synergy One were administered to 100 adolescents. One of them received fiber, the other one received placebo, placebo for 1 year, and in a period of 1 year, or sorry, by 6 weeks, the absorption of calcium was increased in 25%. So you need to pay attention to the function in its ingredients. Even prebiotic formula, which is incorporated in its main products, correspond to a patent that have clinical studies that are backing its actions. Besides, liquid fiber contributes with magnesium, and from the digestive point of view, it is well known through studies as the ones that you have on screen that magnesium is a key factor, an important factor also, in order to promote uh, a healthy rhythm of intestinal evacuation. Different studies, indeed, in the traditional use of a very old product that have been used in Latin America a lot, probably also in the United States, called magnesium milk. I don't know if there must be a translation for that in the United States, where pretty much that magnesium is a key factor is key to produce to improve intestinal movement. It is understood that the lack of magnesium generates constipation. So the presence of magnesium in synergy with fiber guarantees a very, very appropriate rhythm of intestinal evacuation. And besides, the proportion of liquid fiber, of fiber in liquid fiber is very important. You see that one plate of salad, a small plate of salad, as the one that we have in this figure, in this picture, they contribute, depending on the different ingredients participating there, they contribute between 4 or 5 grams of fiber. The contribution of liquid fiber is 4.2 grams of fiber. You see, liquid fiber, by this I don't want to discourage the consumption of the intake of vegetables, but if you're a person who is not frequently consuming or intaking salad, or you have very busy days where you haven't had any time to prepare a salad or to consume an appropriate food during the day because of different commitments, etc. Well, liquid fiber is that source of fiber which allows to guarantee our body an appropriate intake. Remember what I said at the beginning, we need 25 grams of fiber every day, 25 grams. So from everything we've seen so far, we can say that liquid fiber increases, improves the balance of our intestinal flora. It regularizes the frequency of the intestinal movements in a natural way, only by using fiber and water, and it promotes digestive function and the functioning of our body, because fiber in our body behaves as a sponge. Fiber comes in, water comes in, water comes into the fiber, and that makes fiber to expand itself. But that water inside the intestine, at the moment the fiber comes in, it drags the excesses of sugar, the excesses of fat, excesses of cholesterol, and toxins that could have been entered through the food. So fiber captures the water with all these harmful items or elements, and this way it clears our intestine. That's the mechanism of action of fiber. That's the mechanism of action of liquid fiber, which is normally a 100% natural fiber, and indeed it has demonstrated action through studies, and it is backed by a patent. How to consume liquid fiber? Liquid fiber. If you are a person who wants to take care of your body weight, I would advise you to intake it 30 minutes before lunchtime and 30 minutes before dinner time with enough water to achieve this mentioned effect. That means fiber with water gets inflated, gets swollen or in your intestine, and that increases the effect of dragging the different um, toxins, and that's why you feel that you're full. So liquid fiber as well as floral leaf are totally friendly. They can be consumed even by small, even by little children or even by babies. They are 100% safe products and 100% friendly products for our body. I can consume it every day for indefinite time, unlimited time. Now, from some time and up to now, many people effectively started to feel interested into having a cleaning of their intestine, not only through fiber and water. Some people went beyond and they started research and to find out about different extracts or detox juices, especially green juices. A lot of recipes, formulas came for green juices, alfalfa, of lettuce, of cabbage. I mean, a whole lot of elements from nature, I'm sorry, were used in a very important way in order to create different recipes of green extracts, juices. And these extracts are healthy, but they have some problems. First of all, not all of them will guarantee that they have a good flavor. They may have very healthy properties effectively, but not necessarily they have a good flavor or a good aspects. And second of all, that the preparation is not always simple. They require of a lot of vegetable, green vegetable species, um, lemon, apple, alfalfa, garlic, and green leaf vegetables. And then the processing, you need to use at least a blender. And now this gave rise to the appearance of very sophisticated machinery, a very sophisticated equipment in order to prepare extracts that are more comprehensive and more delicious and richer. However, in the preparation of the extract, it could demand 10 minutes, but the assembling and the cleaning of the device could demand an hour because they were full of compartments and a set of items, um, razors and all kinds of blades and things that are taking time. And a lot of people have quit the consumption of the extracts because of how hard it is, of how much work you need to invest on it. Time, because in our daily basis right now we don't have time. So many of these very sophisticated equipment ended up in the garage or even in the trash. Fuxion has also thought of these people, and that's why it has created Alpha Balance. Alpha Balance is this concentrate of green vegetables, which includes it is enriched with algae as the spirulina and chlorella algae, the wheatgrass, gluten-free wheatgrass, alfalfa, spinach, green apple, lemon, ginger, and minerals as magnesium and zinc. So all this, which in the past took a lot of time away from you, has been resolved because Fuxion already put it all together in Alpha Balance. You see this extensive nutraceutical combination. You see this extensive nutraceutical synergy of green elements from nature, alga chlorella, alga spirulina, or spirulina alga, uh, apple, lemon contribute with fibers, antioxidants. Ginger is a source of antioxidants and natural anti-inflammatories. Anyways, it's a whole lot of of a nutraceutical combination that's so simple to intake. It just opening a stick, put it into or power it into a glass of water, and just to consume it immediately. The only thing you need to wash is the spoon and the glass because Fuxion already did all the extraction of the best elements of nature for you. This is important. Why? Because among other goodnesses, these green vegetables promote the internal pH balance in the body. You know that our body internally has a balance between acidity and alkalinity. Indeed, the internal pH of our body should be in a range, in an approximate range of neutral, 7, 7.4, around 7 to 7.4, 7.4. However, as we will see in a couple minutes, there are some factors of our daily diets that make our body to go to be more prone to acidity, and this implies certain risks for health. First of all, because acidity in our body removes oxygen. It repeals oxygen, removes oxygen, and oxygen is a nutrient for our cells. And second of all, because cells, the abnormal cells that frequently are produced in our body, they prefer low oxygen environments and high in glucose. That's why practicing sport is very important because when the respiratory rhythm increases, oxygenation, internal oxygenation in our body also increases. On the other hand, if we are sedentary and if our body is acid and if we besides we consume a lot of sugar, that generates a low oxygen body and rich in glucose, in sugar. And that's dangerous
Esto
because
puede
that
ser
can
a
favor
las
the
células
abnormal cells that are
anómalas
potentially dangerous
potencialmente
inside
peligrosas
our body.
dentro de nuestro organismo.
What
¿Qué
factors
factores
alter or
alteran o acidifican más bien el pH
make
interno
our
nuestro?
internal
Esto
pH
es lo que les
more
acaba
acid
de
in
mencionar.
our body?
Por
Uh,
ejemplo,
for instance,
el
the
exceso en el
excess
consumo
in
de azúcares
consumption of
refinados
refined
o bebidas
um,
azucaradas,
sugars
el exceso en el consumo de
or sugar
mantequilla,
beverages
como por ejemplo panes
like
dulces,
um,
donas,
sweets,
panqueques, como se dice
donuts,
en los Estados
cakes,
Unidos,
which in the
se
United
come
States they
mucho
used
esto,
to consume it a
digamos.
lot. One day I
A mí
had
me ha tocado
to have
desayunar en
breakfast in
IHOP
IHOP,
y
and
realmente, mis respetos,
really
¿no? O
their
sea, son
breakfast
desayunos
like
como
to
para
consume them once
consumirlos
because
una vez porque
they're
realmente
rich in
son ricos en
carbohydrates, in
carbohidratos y los
syrups, they're
jarabes,
rich in
¿sí?
syrups, they're
Jarabes
rich in sugar,
ricos
and
en
all those
azúcar
kinds of
y
food
todo ese tipo de
effectively
alimentos efectivamente
make our body
acidifican
acid internally.
internamente nuestro cuerpo.
Excesses
Los
in the consumption of
excesos en el
alcohol
consumo de alcohol
also make our body
también
acid.
acidifican
On
nuestro
the other
cuerpo.
hand, or
Por el
opposed to that,
contrario, ¿qué
what other
elementos
elements of our
de nuestra
nutrition
nutrición pueden
can
favorecer
favor
el
the balance in
equilibrio
our
en el
internal
pH
pH?
interno?
The consumption of
El
fresh
consumo
fruits
de
and
frutas
especially
frescas
the
y sobre
consumption
todo
of green
consumo de
vegetables.
vegetales verdes.
So again,
Entonces, nuevamente,
these elements of
estos
nature, I'm
elementos de la
talking about
naturaleza,
fruits
me
and
refiero
green
a las frutas y
vegetables,
los vegetales
take
verdes,
to
llevan
a
a un
good
buen
balance
balance de
of our
nuestro
internal
pH
pH.
interno.
That's the
Justamente
reason
esa es la
for
razón de ser de
alpha
alpha
balance
balance. Fue
to
creado
that's the reason
justamente
why it was created
y
essentially
fundamentalmente, diría
for
yo,
keeping the
para el
balance of
equilibrio del
our
pH
internal
interno.
pH of our body.
Para
For
la
cleaning also
depuración
because
también,
many of
porque
its
muchos de estos
elements
elementos,
as
como la
chlorophyll
clorofila, por ejemplo, tiene
have
una
the
fuerte
purative
acción
action in our
depurativa
liver
en el
and in
hígado y en
general of
general en
all
todo
our
el cuerpo.
body. In
En
general, that is
general, a eso
called
se le llama
the
un efecto
chel-
quelante,
chelation
¿no?
effect.
Chelation es el término en inglés,
Chelation
o
effect.
efecto quelante,
They
produce un
produce a
efecto
chelation effect.
quelante.
That
¿Esto qué
means
quiere decir? Un
a
quelante es una
chelation
sustancia
substance is like an
quelante,
iron
es como un
of
imán de metales
heavy
pesados,
metals
metales como el
as
cadmio, las
cadmium,
sustancias
sulfur substances,
sulfuradas, el
arsenic
arsénico,
come
ingresan a
into
nuestro
our body
cuerpo
through
por
different
diferentes vías.
ways.
Un quelante es
A
como una
chelation
sustancia
item is
atrapa a estos metales
like a
pesados
magnet.
hasta que las
It
moléculas
attracts the heavy
están,
metals
cuando está
up
saturada la
until the
molécula,
molecule is
pasan
saturated.
de la
When a
sangre
molecule is saturated,
hacia el
it goes from the
intestino para
blood to
procurar
the
su
intestine to
eliminación.
try to
Entonces, Alpha
be
Balance y
uh,
estos elementos de
excreted,
la naturaleza
expelled.
que ustedes tienen en
So
pantalla ha
this
sido creado para
alpha
el equilibrio
balance
del
was
pH
created
interno
for
y para
the
la
balance of our
depuración de los
internal body
residuos
and for depuration of
¿Cuándo debo
internal
consumir alfa balance?
heavy metals.
Siempre
When
cuando
should
tenga
I
vacío.
intake alpha balance?
Todos los
Again,
productos
with
para la
our stomach
depuración interna de
empty.
nuestro
All
organismo
products for
deben ser
cleaning should
consumidos
be consumed
preferentemente
with our
cuando
stomach
tenga
empty.
vacío. Por ejemplo,
For instance, when we wake
determinamos
up in the
por la
morning,
mañana,
half
¿sí?
morning and
A
half
media mañana
afternoon,
y a media
if
tarde,
my stomach
siempre
is
con el
empty,
estómago vacío, ¿sí?
or
O
before I go to
antes
bed,
de dormir,
always with our stomach
siempre con el
empty.
estómago vacío.
And
Y
finally, the
finalmente,
last
el
product
último
that we're going
producto
to
que
talk
vamos a
about this
revisar esta
night is
noche
berry
es
balance.
Berry Balance.
Berry,
Berry, ¿sí? O arándanos en español.
nowadays,
Hoy en
there
día
is a
existe
strong
una
trend
fuerte
to the
tendencia al
consumption
consumo
of
de los
berries
arándanos
because
por
of
sus
their extraordinary
extraordinarias
properties.
propiedades. Los
Berries,
arándanos,
among other
entre otros
items,
elementos
natural items that are provided,
naturales que
elements,
funcionan,
they
dominan las antocianinas.
provide to us
Las
with
antocianinas
antioxidants,
son antioxidantes muy potentes que justamente le dan el color,
anthocyanins.
el
Anthocyanins
color
will give,
rojizo
they're the ones that provide the
al
red
jugo, al
color
zumo
to
de
the
esta
juice
fruta,
fruit,
al arándano.
to the
¿Sí?
fruit juice. This
Berry
berry
Balance es
balance
la
is a
combinación
combination
de
of different
nutraceutical,
tropical berries
flavonoides tropicales
concentrated.
concentrados, infusión de piña. Aquí estamos
Pineapple,
hablando de una sustancia muy importante
here we're
llamada
talking about a very important
antocianina,
substance, which
bacterias
pineapple
probióticas,
infusion,
antocianina,
calcium and
calcio,
vitamin C
vitaminas
and
C y D.
E. Let's see what it is about.
Veamos de qué se trata.
We had talked about the
Habíamos
pH
hablado del pH
when we had
cuando
to talk about
nos tocó
alpha
hablar
balance. And
de alfa
effectively,
balance. Y efectivamente
pH
el
is this
pH es
measure
esta
of
medida de
acidity or
acidez
alkalinity
alcalinidad que existe
that happens in
en
all of
todo
our
nuestro
body.
organismo.
In all the
En todas
surfaces of a
las
human body,
superficies del
there
cuerpo
is
humano
an ideal
existe un
pH.
pH
There is an
ideal,
appropriate
un
pH.
pH adecuado. ¿Sí?
There is, for instance,
Existe, por
in
ejemplo, en la
the
capacidad bucal,
mouth
en la
cavity,
cavidad bucal hay
there
un
is an
pH
appropriate pH.
adecuado,
In the
en el
small
intestino
intestine, there is an
delgado hay un
appropriate
pH
pH.
adecuado, en el
In
intestino
the
grueso hay
large
otro pH
intestine, there is
adecuado.
another appropriate pH. In the case of
En el
ladies,
caso de las
in the
damas, en la mucosa
vaginal
vaginal
mucus, there
también
is
hay un
also an
pH
appropriate
adecuado. En fin,
pH. Anyways,
eso
that's
está
all
regido por nuestra propia
governed by our
fisiología.
physiology.
¿Sí? Entonces, ¿qué sucede?
Now, in the specific
En el
case
caso
of the
específico
ladies,
de las damas, ¿sí? los cambios
are
hormonales
hormonal
o
changes
durante
or
la
a very
sexualidad
active sexual
activa,
life,
el consumo
consumption of
de
medications,
medicamento, el
in,
ejercicio intenso con
intensive
ropa muy
exercise or
ajustada,
workout with
la
very tight
retención de
clothes,
la orina, por
um,
ejemplo, cuando
when we
retrasamos,
delay
¿no? La acción de
the
accionar u orinar,
urination
o
or the permanent
la exposición
exposure to
permanente a la
humidity or
humedad
moisture
pueden
could
modificar el
increase or could
pH
affect
vaginal,
the vaginal
causando
pH, and that may cause
infecciones.
infections.
Fíjense
You
ustedes,
see
aquí está la
the
tabla de la acidez
table of
alcalina. Habíamos
acidity and
hablado
alkalinity
que
here. We had said
los
that the internal
fluidos
fluids in
internos
our
de nuestro
body
organismo
should have a
deberían tener un
pH
pH entre 7 y
between
siete
7 and
punto cuatro. Eso era lo
7.5,
ideal. Sin
7.4. That was the
embargo, en la
ideal.
mucosa
However, in the
vaginal,
vaginal mucus, the
el
ideal
pH
pH is of
ideal es de
4.5.
cuatro punto
That's what
cinco.
I was
Por eso les
saying,
decía
that
yo,
each
en
region,
cada
each
región
surface in
de
our
cada
body
superficie de
has
nuestro organismo
an
tiene un
appropriate pH,
pH
an ideal
adecuado,
pH.
un pH
So
ideal.
these
Entonces, este
4.5 in
cuatro
the
punto
case of
cinco en
ladies
el caso de las
in their
damas,
vaginal
el
pH
pH vaginal, en el caso de las
can
damas,
cause
puede
infections.
causar
That when that
infecciones.
pH
Cuando
is
ese
elevated,
pH se
it
eleva,
favors
favorece a las
potentially
bacterias
dangerous
potencialmente
bacteria that
peligrosas
may
que
grow
pueden
in a
crecer
pH
en
above
pH por encima de
6.
6.
And besides,
Y además,
when
cuando
urine
la
gets
orina se
acidified, it
acidifica,
makes us
nos
more
hace
prone.
más
That
proclives, o
means
sea, aumenta
it
el riesgo
increases
de
the
la
risk
formación
of the
de
formation of
cálculos
uh,
renales.
kidney stones.
La
Urine should
orina
also
también debería
have
tener un
a pH
pH
of
de
6.5 or
6.5,
7.2.
7.2. Y
However,
sin
when this
embargo, cuando
urine is
esta orina se
acidified,
acidifica,
it also causes
también nos
troubles in
causa
us
problemas
because
porque
that
da
gives
lugar
rise to
a la formación de
formation of
cálculos renales. Fíjense
kidney stones.
ustedes
So you see
la
the transcendence
trascendencia,
of
¿no?
a
del
pH
pH
in the
en
case
el
of
caso de las
ladies,
damas,
in the pH of
el pH de la
vaginal
mucosa
mucus,
vaginal y
and
en las damas y en los
ladies
caballeros en la
eh,
regulación del pH de la orina. Son
and
de
gentlemen,
repente
the
eventos que
pH
pasan
in urine,
desapercibidos en nuestra
those are
vida
things that
diaria,
happen on our daily
pero que son
basis, but they're
trascendentales para nuestra
transcendental,
salud.
essential for our
¿Sí?
lives. Besides
Además del pH
pH
y
and
la
regulation of
regulación del
pH,
pH,
we need to
tenemos que
mention that
mencionar que
berries
los arándanos o berries
produce some kinds
producen
of
un tipo de
natural
sustancia
substance
natural
called
llamadas
proanthocyanidins.
proantocyanidins. Ese es su
That
nombre, lo
name,
tienen escrito ahí, se llaman
proanthocyanidins.
proantocianidinas. ¿Sí?
These
Estas
proanthocyanidins
proantocianidinas
have an
tienen un efecto
antibacterial
antibacteriano
indirect effect.
indirecto.
I'm going to
Les
talk
voy
to
a
you
explicar
about
en qué
what it
consiste.
is, what it is about.
Eh,
Generally,
Generalmente
urinary
las
infections
infecciones
in
urinarias en damas y
ladies and in
varones son
gentlemen are
producidas
produced
por bacterias
by bacteria that come from
que
intestinal
vienen de
flora,
la flora intestinal
even
que
if some
procrean,
people
porque
don't believe
el
that. Because
70%
70% of
de
the
la
solid
masa sólida
mass
de
of
las heces fecales
fecal
está compuesta
feces
por bacterias que vienen de la flora intestinal. ¿Sí? Se eliminan muchas bacterias, pero
have
efectivamente
presence of
donde la
a lot of
bacteria
bacteria. The
mayormente
most common
presente es
bacteria
la
is the
Escherichia
Escherichia
coli.
coli, the
¿Y qué
Escherichia
pasa?
coli, and
Sobre todo las
or
damas,
the E.
también se
coli.
puede dar en
It may happen
caballeros,
in
pero
ladies,
sobre
but also
todo en las
in
damas, cuando no se hace
in men,
una
but also
adecuada
in women.
higiene,
When there's not an
pueden
appropriate hygiene, it may
permitir
happen.
que
The part
parte
of
de
those
esas
bacteria
bacterias
that
que
come out
salen
along
junto con
with
las heces
feces
lleguen
get to the
a la
vaginal mucus,
mucosa
and
vaginal.
as the most
Y como
abundant
la bacteria
bacteria
más
is the
abundante
E. coli,
es
the E.
la
coli,
Escherichia coli,
that's the reason why
esa es
the
la
Escherichia
razón por la
coli
cual la Escherichia coli es
is
la
the
bacteria
mostly
mayormente
responsible bacteria
responsable
for
de las
urinary
infecciones
infections.
urinarias. Bacteria que están viendo aquí en foto. Esta es
Escherichia
muy
coli
buena, están
is
viendo aquí
this
en
picture that
foto.
we're
Esta es
seeing here
una
in this
muy buena foto
um,
electrónica
in the
de
screen.
la Escherichia
This
coli.
is a good picture
¿Sí?
of Escherichia
La
coli,
Escherichia
and
coli, como
as
todas
well as
las
all other
bacterias,
bacteria have
tienen
mechanisms
mecanismos que les
that help them
ayudan
cause an
a
infection.
causar una
In the
infección.
specific case of
En el
Escherichia
caso
coli,
específico de
they
Escherichia
have
coli,
these little
tienen estos
hairs that you can see
pelitos
here,
que ustedes ven
which
aquí,
effectively,
que
its
efectivamente su nombre
scientific name
científico
is
es pili.
pili.
Así se llaman,
Pili, which
pili.
comes
Viene de
from the
pelo,
name hair
seguramente, ¿no?
in
Ese
in
pili
Latin.
son
These
mecanismos de adherencia.
pili are
Las
adherence
bacterias, la
mechanisms.
Escherichia coli sobre todo, se
Bacteria
utilizan
especially use them
para
to adhere, to
adherirse
attach
a
to
los tejidos.
tissues.
En el caso de
In
las
the case of
infecciones urinarias,
urinary infections,
a
to
los
the
tejidos de
tissues of
las vías
urinary
urinarias, la
um,
vejiga, la uretra,
channels or
e
ways,
incluso puede llegar
to
a los riñones.
even the
Y esto
kidneys.
hace
And
que estas
these
bacterias sean
bacteria
muy
can be
efectivas
very
en
effective causing
infecciones
infections.
y
And
por
on the
otro
other
lado
hand,
hacen que estas
these
bacterias sean
bacteria
de
become a
muy
very
poderosa
hard eradication.
erradicación.
That means
Les
they attach
adhieren muy
themselves
bien.
very well to tissues.
Muchas
Many
veces
times we
recibimos
receive
un
an
tratamiento
antibiotic
antibiótico,
treatment. It seems
parece
like
que ya
we've
nos hemos curado,
been
que ya hemos
healed, that we've
eliminado la
eliminated the
bacteria,
bacteria
pero cuando
already. But
suspendemos
when
el
we
tratamiento
suspend the
antibiótico,
antibiotic treatment,
automáticamente la
the
infección
infection
reaparece
reappears
porque
because
estas
these
bacterias han
bacteria have
estado
been there
allí adheridas
attached, waiting
esperando
for
que
the
pase
effect of the
el efecto
antibiotic
del
to go by
antibiótico
so that
para
they
volver
can
a
cause the
causar una
infection
infección.
again.
Por eso se
That's
dice
why it is
que
said
las
that
infecciones
urinary infections
urinarias
are
son recurrentes
recur-
o recidivantes,
recurring
porque se
or
pueden volver a dar.
reactivating
Pues
because they
bien,
may happen again.
¿cuál
What
es
is the
el
secret of
secreto
the
de las proantocianidinas?
proanthocyanidins?
Lo voy a explicar de manera muy
Proanthocyanidins.
sencilla. Esto es un
This,
mecanismo
I'm going to try to
molecular,
explain in
pero
a
se lo voy a
simple
explicar de
way.
manera muy sencilla. Las
Proanthocyanidins act
proantocianidinas
as
actúan
a
como un
soap, as a
jabón,
soap. Yes, as a soap.
así, como un jabón.
When these bacteria
Cuando estas
get
bacterias
to the
llegan
level, for
a
instance, of a
nivel de, por
urinary
ejemplo, de las
waste,
vías urinarias,
what
lo que hace las
proanthocyanidins do is that
proantocianidinas
they
es
attach
adherirse
to
a
these
estas
adherent structures
estructuras de
called
adherencia llamadas
pili.
pili, ¿sí?
They attach
Se
themselves as
adhieren
if it
como
was
si
a
fuera un
soap,
jabón y las
and
dejan,
they leave them
vamos a decirlo así, entre
like
comillas, resbalosas.
sliding,
De
sort
manera
of
como
say.
ven aquí, ¿no?
So when the pili do not
No
suffer the
sufre
action
la
of
acción
a
de la proantocianidina,
proanthocyanidins, this
estos
pili
pili
can
pueden
allow
ayudarle
can help
a
Escherichia
Escherichia
coli
coli
to
a
attach
adherirse
themselves
a
to
los
the tissues of
tejidos
our
urinarios.
urinary waste.
Sin embargo, cuando
However,
la
proanthocyanidin
proantocianidina se hace presente,
becomes
esta
present, this
Escherichia coli no puede
Escherichia
utilizarla
coli,
porque se pone
this
resbalosa. O sea,
proanthocyanidins
estos
cannot do
pili
it
no pueden
because they are
adherirse
sliding, and they
eficientemente
can
a los tejidos.
with
Y como no pueden
proanthocyanidins, these bacteria
adherirse,
cannot
¿sí?
attach
Habíamos
themselves
hablado
to
aquí de un
the
componente
tissues. And here
importante
we
que
had talked
era
about
la
um,
bromelaína, que proviene de la
bromelains
piña,
that
y
comes
la
from pineapple
bromelaína aumenta la
infusion. They
diuresis.
increase the hardness, so bacteria
Entonces, las
cannot attach
bacterias no se
themselves
pueden
to,
fijar y nuestra
and our
diuresis
uresis
aumenta.
increases, and we're
Y
going to
vamos a
start to
comenzar a
actively
eliminar
eliminate these bacteria
activamente a estas
before
bacterias
they cause
antes de que
an
cause
infection.
una infección.
Now, someone may ask
Ahora,
me,
alguien me
doctor,
preguntará,
and if I already have an
doctor, ¿y si ya
infection?
tengo una
Well, if
infección?
you have an
Bien,
infection,
si ya
the
tienes una
first
infección, la
recommendation
primera
is that you
recomendación es que te pongas
go
en
to the
manos del
doctor.
médico.
The
El
doctor is going to
médico te
recommend
va a
you
recomendar
an
un
antibiotic
tratamiento
treatment that you need
antibiótico
to
que tienes que
respect.
respetar,
But
pero
many
muchos
physicians,
médicos,
besides
además de los antibióticos,
antibiotics,
recomiendan el consumo
recommend the
de
consumption of
arándanos.
berries.
Ahí entra
That's
perfectamente
where
dar y
berry
balas un
balance
jugo de arándanos,
comes in
porque
because
justamente las
it's a berries juice
proantocianidinas
because
no se oponen
proanthocyanidins
ni
do not
interfieren a la
oppose
acción del
themselves to the
antibiótico.
action of the
El
antibiotic.
antibiótico va a
The
hacer su
antibiotic is going
trabajo
to do
y
its
las
work, and the
proantocianidinas van a
proanthocyanidins are going to
ayudar
help
en
in
ese
that
trabajo.
work.
¿Sí?
So that is
Entonces,
the
ese es el
mechanism of action.
mecanismo de acción.
Therefore, the
Por lo
benefits of
tanto, los
berry
beneficios
balance
de
are,
Berry
first
Balance,
of all,
¿cuáles son? En
to
primer
help
lugar,
prevent
ayuda a prevenir
the fixation,
la
the
fijación, ¿no? La adherencia
attaching,
de
the
las
sticking
bacterias
of
potencialmente
potentially dangerous
peligrosas a nivel de vías
bacteria
urinarias
in
y,
the walls of the urinary
en
tract and
segundo
bladder.
lugar, ayuda
And
a mantener
likewise,
un
they
pH
help
balanceado en
have a
nuestras
balanced
mucosas y
pH in the
también en la
mucous
orina.
and in
Y
the
en tercer
urine.
lugar, ayuda a
And
prevenir la
likewise,
retención
they
de líquidos. Berry
eliminate
Balance,
the
como lo están viendo
excess
ustedes
retained
aquí,
fluids.
es un
And
jugo de
berry balance
arándanos,
is a
¿sí?
berries
De
juice.
delicioso sabor, un
Delicious.
sabor
It's a
perfectamente
perfectly
natural
natural
a
flavor
arándanos.
to berries.
Este producto
And this
sí
product
lo puedes
can
consumir
definitely
en
be
cualquier
consumed
momento del
anytime
día
during the day
porque es un
as
refresco
a
hidratante.
berries
Entonces,
juice.
no
Not necessarily
necesariamente
you
tienes
need
que estar
to be
buscando
seeking to
prevenir una
prevent
infección
any
urinaria o no
urinary infection,
necesariamente tienes que
or
estar
not necessarily you have to
padeciendo de
be
una infección
suffering from a
urinaria
urinary
para
infection
disfrutar de
to
su
enjoy
extraordinario sabor.
its amazing
Además,
flavor.
queda ahora,
Besides,
como
now
estamos
here
aquí en
nowadays
Sudamérica
in Latin
haciendo
America
calor,
is very hot.
¿no? Viene muy
It's
bien, por
great
ejemplo,
to consume it
consumirlo
with
acompañado de
ice
hielo
because it's got an
porque tiene un
extraordinary
extraordinario
flavor
sabor y
and
además es
besides
muy
is very
nutritivo.
rich in nutrients.
¿Sí?
So,
Bien, amigos,
my
esta es
friends,
la
this is
información
the
que les
information that I
había
have prepared for
preparado para esta
this evening.
noche.
I'm
Estoy
sure the
seguro
information
que
that
la
you've
información
received
que han
is going to
recibido
be
les va a ser
of
de
a great help
singular ayuda en su
in your
trabajo
your
del día
day-to-day
a
work.
día.
So
Así
I just
que
have to
solamente me queda
congratulate you and
felicitarlos y
to
aplaudirlos
applaud
nuevamente
for
por
the
el
extraordinary
extraordinario
work that you've
trabajo
been
que
doing,
vienen haciendo
and to
y
request my dear
solicitarle a mi querida
Christina that in
Cristina
case there
que
are
si
any
tiene alguna
questions,
pregunta, por favor me la haga
send them
llegar.
over to me.
¿Sí?
Thank you
Muchísimas
very
gracias a
much for
todos por
joining
haberse
this
unido a esta
streaming. And
transmisión.
Christina,
Cristina,
we
estamos a
are
tus
at
órdenes.
your
Claro que
service.
sí, doctor. Qué
Definitely, Dexter.
excelente
Excellent information.
información.
You talked
Nos ha hablado de
about a lot of
tantos
products that we have
productos que
nowadays, a
tenemos
lot of
ahorita,
amazing
tanta
information,
información maravillosa,
which for sure,
que seguro,
of
bueno,
course, I've
yo he
learned a lot,
aprendido
and for sure,
muchísimo y seguro los
Fuxioners
fusioners
also have learned a
también.
lot.
No
And
sabe cómo
you have no
en
idea about
Facebook
how many
llueven
hearts
los
are
corazones, mi
coming
doc.
through Facebook.
Qué
Well,
Ah,
thank
muchas
you.
emoción.
Thank
gracias,
you
muchas
all.
gracias a todos. Son muy
Sí,
generosos.
por estar con nosotros. Tengo un par,
Thank you very
gracias a
much,
usted
Doctor, for
por
being
estar
with
con
us.
nosotros. Tengo un par
I
de
have a couple of questions.
preguntitas.
Sí,
Angie Roldan
Angie
is
Roldán
asking us
nos
from
pregunta
the
desde el
chat from a
chat de la
simultaneous
traducción
information if Prunex can
Si es
be
que Prunex se puede
advised for or
recomendar a
recommended for
personas con,
people with
bueno, con
irritable
intestino
intestine.
irritable,
You
ya lo
mentioned it
mencionó, o con
already
divertículos.
with irritable. Okay,
Irritable. Ok. A ver,
let's start from the
vamos
beginning.
a partir del principio.
Fuction products
Los productos Fusion
are
son
created,
ideados, creados,
formulated, designed
formulados
thinking
pensando
to
en
be
ser
consumed
consumidos
by
por personas
people
de
of
salud
average
promedio
health
o
or
aparentemente
apparently
sanos. ¿Sí?
health people. When
Cuando
I
yo
have
tengo
a
una
person with a
persona con una
disease, for
enfermedad
example,
como
the one of
cualquier intestino
an irritable
irritable,
intestine,
yo
I
no
cannot
puedo
predict
predecir cuál va a
what the
ser el
behavior
comportamiento
of a
del
product is
producto.
going to
Eso
be
va a depender
because
del
that
estado de
depends on the
salud de
health
la
status of the
persona,
person, on the progress
el
of the
avance de su
disease, among
enfermedad,
other
entre
considerations.
otras
If
consideraciones.
if I
Si
identify
yo
that this
identifico
person
que esta persona
is suffering from irritable
sufre de
intestine,
intestino irritable
and
y
this
tiene
intestine is
y este
this
intestino
irritable
irritable
intestine is
viene acompañado
joined by
de
constipation
síntomas de
symptoms,
estreñimiento,
first of all,
yo
we
probaría en
should
primer
always
lugar, hay
go
que ir siempre de menos
from
a
less to
más.
more.
Yo
I
probaría, por
would
ejemplo,
go to
aumentar el
increase
consumo
the
de
intake of
fibra a
fiber
través de
through liquid
fiber
fiber and a lot of
y
water
mucha
to see how
agua
the
para
person
ver cómo la
responds.
persona responde.
Because, as I
Como
said at
les
the
dije al
beginning,
principio, el
laxative
laxante
should
debe
be
ser una
a
medida de
measure of
emergencia, es
emergency,
decir,
of
lo último
urgency.
que yo debería
That's the last thing that I
incorporar.
should incorporate.
Ahora,
Now,
si
if
esta
this
persona ha
person has
consumido
consumed
liquid
liquid
fiber
fiber
y
and enough
abundante
water
agua por una
for 1 week,
semana
and the
y
person
no
does not
mejora
improve
su
the
tránsito
intestinal
intestinal,
situation,
llegará el
that will be
momento
the
de
time to
consumir
consume
Prunex
Pronix 1,
uno,
starting by
comenzando
one
con una
spoon.
cucharadita,
Half
o sea, media
bowl
taza de
of
agua, una cucharadita
half a cup of water
para ver cómo le
and
va. A ese
spoon.
proceso de comenzar
We could
con
start
un
with
tercio
half
de
or
cucharadita
a
o media
third of spoon.
cucharadita,
I
yo le
call
llamo
that
calibración.
calibration
Porque yo
because,
no,
as I'm
como les digo,
saying,
una persona que padece de un
a
problema
person that suffers
intestinal, yo no
from
puedo
an
predecir
intestinal
cuál va a ser su tolerancia
problem,
al
I
producto.
cannot predict the
Entonces,
behavior. So
para
I'm going to
calibrarlo,
give
le
a
voy a dar
third.
un
I'm going to
tercio, le
try
voy a
with the
dar a
person
probar para
to
ver
see
qué
how it
tal le
works.
funciona.
If it
Si
doesn't
no
work, but if it
funciona,
doesn't
pero
cause
tampoco le ha causado,
any
digamos,
kind of discomfort,
ningún
any
disconfort, no
any
le ha
kind of
causado ninguna molestia
intestinal
intestinal, yo
um,
podría
problem,
apostar
I can
a
increase from
subir
that
de ese
third of a
tercio de
spoon to
cucharadita
half of a
a la
spoon to
mitad
see
de
how
una
it works.
cucharadita para ver cómo
But
le va. Pero si
if
aparecen las molestias o las
problems
intolerancias
start or
digestivas,
digestive
será momento
intolerances
de
appear, it's
suspender
time to
el
suspend it.
consumo del producto,
But I
¿no?
repeat
Pero les
myself,
vuelvo a repetir,
it's not that the
no es que el
product
producto sea
is
irritativo,
irritable,
sino que esta persona
but that
ya
these
sufre de
people
un
already have a syndrome
síndrome
of
complica
irritation of
de inflamación
intestine.
del
But
intestino,
of course,
¿no?
we
Pero
always
claro,
try to
nosotros siempre
help,
buscamos
right?
ayudar.
Claro que sí. Pregunta acá de
Okay,
Nitza
and I'll
Pregunta
have a
acá de
question here
Nitza
from
Cortés.
Nitza Cortez. Nitza is asking,
Nitza pregunta,
people who
personas
are
que toman
taking medication
medicamentos para el
for
control de
seizure controls, can
convulsiones
they
pueden consumir
intake
alfa
alpha balance?
balance.
Claro, deben estar seguramente,
Well,
claro, deben
sure,
estar seguramente
valproic acid should
agresivos
be
al
there.
flujo,
That's
que
the
es el
one
más
that's used the most
utilizado.
in
En
general.
general,
I identify
identifico que
that
incluso las
even
personas
people with epilepsy who are
epilépticas que
taking
toman
valproic acid or
SUSCRIBE
any
u otros
other
medicamentos hacen
medications,
su
they
vida con normalidad
have a
y
normal
comen con
life.
normalidad. Y yo les he hablado siempre de que
And I've always said that the only
el único
requirement to
requisito para
intake any
consumir
functional
cualquier
products
producto
is
FuXion
to
es
eat
comer de
normally,
todo.
to eat
Dicho de otra
everything.
manera,
That
la
means the
persona
person that
que
eats
come de
everything
todo
or
puede
can consume
consumir
any
cualquier
functional
producto
product.
FuXion.
So
Entonces,
if this person
si esta persona
consumes
consume,
is
¿no? Su
anti-seizure
medicación anticonvulsiva,
medication but
pero
has a
hace una
normal
vida
life
normal
and
y
has
no tiene
no
ninguna
restrictions in the
restricción en su
food, I don't
alimentación,
see any
yo no veo
reasons not
ninguna
to
razón
consume
para que
alpha
no pueda
balance.
consumir alfa balance. Salvo mejor opinión de su médico, por supuesto. Salvo
Unless there
mejor
is a
opinión de
better
su médico,
opinion
por
from the
supuesto.
physician,
Pero
from
en
the doctor.
realidad el
But the
producto
final product
finalmente es
is
un
a food.
alimento.
In the
En el
case of
caso de
alpha
alfa balance
balance, is an
específicamente, es un
extract of
extracto de
green
vegetales
vegetables.
verdes.
Now, there are some
Ahora, hay
people
personas, por
who,
ejemplo, de repente
all
el
of a
médico
sudden, the doctor
le ha
has
dado
given some
alguna
restrictions to that
restricción.
person.
De
Maybe the
repente el
doctor has
médico
said
le ha
you
dicho,
cannot
o
consume
no puedes
chlorophyll
consumir
or you
clorofila,
cannot
o
consume
no puedes consumir
vitamin K. We know that
vitamina K.
green
Sabemos que
vegetables,
los
for
vegetales
instance,
verdes,
with
por
people
ejemplo,
who are
con
taking
las personas que toman
anticoagulants,
anticoagulantes, allí sí no es recomendable
alpha
alfa
balance is
balance
not
porque
advisable
estos
there
vegetales
because
aportan mucha
these
vitamina
minerals,
K.
this alpha
Y
balance produce a lot of
en
vitamin
ese
K.
caso, por
In that
ejemplo,
case, we do not
no
recommend an
recomendamos
alpha
alfa
balance.
balance. Pero no es un
But
problema
it's
de
not a
alfa
problem of
balance,
alpha
sino
balance,
es
but it is a
problema de
problem
la
of a medication
alimentación
of a
de la
person.
persona.
But in the case of a
Pero en el
person
caso de una persona con una
with an
medicación
anti-seizure medication,
anticonvulsiva,
there are
no se
no, if
identifica
that
ninguna
person does
restricción
not have any
alimentaria
food restriction,
aparentemente,
apparently,
como les
as I
repito,
repeat,
salvo
there's
mejor
no
opinión de
problem
su
to
médico.
intake it, unless there is a better opinion from the
Perfecto,
doctor.
muchas gracias, doctor. Y vamos
Okay,
con la
doctor, let's go with the
última.
last one. Sandra
Sí,
Sotso.
Sandra Soto.
Sandra is asking,
Sandra.
Sandra
Dr. Columbus,
pregunta,
for
doctor
a person that's
Columbo,
suffering
para una
from
persona que sufre de
severe
estreñimiento
constipation of
severo
up
que
to
hasta
12 days
12
without being
días
able to
no puede
evacuate,
evacuar,
what is the
¿cuál es
maximum
el
of days of
máximo de
Pronix
días de
consumption?
consumo de Prunex que se le puede
What is the maximum
¿Cuál es el máximo
of consumption
días de
days
consumo
of
de
prunix that
Prunex
can
que se
be
le puede recomendar
recommended every
diarios
day,
paralelo con
parallel
el
with the
consumo de
consumption of
fluorolif y
Fluralif and liquid
distributor?
fiber? Liquid fiber.
Sí, a ver,
Well, yes, I had said
yo
that
les había dicho de que
laxatives in
los
general,
laxantes en general,
laxatives,
los laxantes,
even though they're
aunque
naturals
sean
or herbals
naturales
or
y
as Prunex
herbales como el
1,
Prunex 1,
have a consumption logic,
una
and that
lógica de
consumption
consumo
logic
y esa
is
lógica de
to
consumo es
consume
consumir lo
the
menos
least
posible.
possible.
¿Sí?
In an
Es
ideal
más,
world,
en un mundo
Sandra
ideal,
and all the ones that are
Sandra
listening to
y
me,
todos los que me
in
están
an
escuchando,
ideal
en un
world,
mundo ideal,
laxatives shouldn't
los
exist
laxantes no
because
deberían
we should all
existir.
have
Todos
a
deberíamos tener
natural,
un ritmo
regulated,
natural,
healthy
regular,
evacuation rhythm. It
saludable de
shouldn't exist.
evacuación. No deberían existir. En
Anyways,
todo caso, los laxantes
laxatives
son una
are
medida de
an
emergencia.
emergency measure.
¿Sí?
Now, we're
Ahora,
talking
estamos hablando de una
about a
persona
person that's constipated, a
constipada,
seriously constipated
seriamente
person. We
constipada.
shouldn't lose
No debemos perder de vista que Prunex
the
1
idea that Pronix
es
1
una
is a
medida
nutritional
nutricional.
measure. As we
Como
saw,
vimos en el video, son
there are a lot,
componentes
most of them are food
alimentarios.
components.
Los
Prunes
ginones
are a
son
fruit,
un
a food.
alimento. Las
Algae
algas son un
or
alimento,
seaweed
como lo
are
es la
a
linaza,
food, or
como lo
linseed
es el
is
planta o
also
arroz o
food,
el
or
psyllium, son
all the plants
alimentos.
are that are there
Entonces,
are food.
Prunex
So
1 finalmente es una medida
our products are
nutricional.
finally a
Yo
nutritional
puedo probar
measure.
con esta
I can start
persona,
with this
voy a
person with
comenzar con
half a stick
medio stick,
or a stick, or
hoy, por
maybe in the
ejemplo,
evening.
por la noche, ¿no? A ver,
Tonight you're
esta
going
noche
to
vas a tomar medio stick.
take half a stick.
Al
Now the
día
next day,
siguiente, ¿te
did it
funcionó?
work?
No te funcionó.
It didn't work.
No, no me funcionó. Ok,
No, it
esta
didn't work.
noche
Okay,
entonces
so
vas a tomar
tonight we're going to take
un stick
a
completo,
complete
porque
stick.
eso es lo
That's
que
what
yo
I
le
call
llamo
calibration.
calibración, acuérdense. Un stick completo.
I give a
Le
person a
doy un stick
complete stick,
completo.
and then the person says,
Y
no, it
de
didn't
repente
work.
me dice, no
Okay,
me funcionó.
third
Ok,
night, you're going to
tercera
consume
noche vas
two
a consumir
sticks
dos
together
sticks
before you go to bed.
juntos antes de
You're going
dormir.
to take them,
Los va a
and
tomar
it
y
doesn't
no le hace efecto.
have any effect. Particularly, I
Particularmente
am
yo soy de la
of the
idea
idea
que
that
tiene
that's
que ser
up to where
medida
the
hasta allí.
nutrition can get, up to there, because
Hasta allí
that's a
porque esa es una
nutritional measure.
medida nutricional.
When a person
Cuando una
takes
persona
two
se toma
sticks,
dos sticks
or
de,
two
o
portions,
dos
or two pills,
raciones
or
o dos
two
pastillas
capsules,
o dos cápsulas,
double
¿no? El doble de la
of a
ración, vamos a
laxative,
decir, de un
a
laxante
chemical or
y
herbal laxative, and it doesn't
y
work,
no funciona,
that's an
ese
indication
es un indicativo
that
que hay
there is
algo
something
que no
that's
está
not
funcionando
working
bien
well
en
in
ese
that
organismo.
intestine. And in the
Y en el
case of
caso de Prunex
Pronix
1,
wine, that is
esto ya se
away from
escapa a la
nutrition. That's
nutrición. O sea, para
already
mí, dos
above
sticks en una
nutrition
noche y
um,
no te funcionó, la
realm.
nutrición
So
llega
if you
hasta
tried
ahí.
it one or two
Ahora,
in
claro,
2 nights and it didn't
Sandra
work,
ahí me
that's up
pone
to where you
con
can get.
consumo de
Now you're talking about
fibra y de
fiber and water.
agua.
Very
Muy
good.
bien,
We're
vamos a
going to
hacer
do the homework.
la tarea.
We're going
Vamos a
to
darle fibra,
provide a
vamos a
person with
darle
fiber,
agua, vamos
water.
a
I'm going to make the
combinar
person
y
well.
le voy a dar
And
en
in
la
the evening,
noche
I'm going to give
dos
a person
sticks
two sticks,
completos de
two full
Prunex
sticks
1.
of Pronix wine.
Doctor, no le
Doctor,
ha
it didn't
funcionado.
work. Dear Sandra,
Querida Sandra,
sadly, I must tell you that
tristemente debo
that's up
decirte
to
que la
where nutrition
nutrición
can
llega
get.
hasta ahí.
And that
Y
person
esa
is going to
persona
have
va a tener
to
que
a
ir a ponerse en manos de
gastroenterologist
un
because
gastroenterólogo,
up
porque
to there,
hasta allí
I have a strong
yo sospecho
suspicion that that
fuertemente de que
person
esa
is
persona
suffering
padece de
from
una
an intestinal
obstrucción.
obstruction. And the
Y
physician,
el médico, sí, el
gastroenterologist,
médico
uh,
gastroenterólogo para
physician, to
confirmar
confirm that
ese
diagnostic
diagnóstico,
or
esa
that
sospecha, va a tener que hacer una
suspicion,
endoscopía,
is
es decir,
going to do
métete un tubito
a
para ver qué está
test,
pasando por dentro. Pero eso
through a
ya escapa
tube
a
to
nuestro
do a
ámbito de
test.
acción, porque nosotros
But
trabajamos
that's up
con
to where we can
nutrientes,
get. We
con
work
alimentos,
with
¿no?
nutrients, with food, but
Entonces,
that has a
tiene
lit.
un límite.
And from there on,
De
that
allí en
case is going
adelante, en
to
este caso, va a
um,
merecer ponerse
deserve being
en
put
manos,
in the
perdón,
hands of a
de un médico
gastroenterologist
gastroenterólogo
for a
para un
diagnose and
diagnóstico, ¿no? Y un
a
tratamiento adecuado.
more severe
La
treatment.
nutrición llega hasta
Nutrition,
ahí.
that's up to where nutrition can get.
Gracias,
Thank you,
doctor.
doctor. Do you have a
¿Algún
last
último
message for our
mensaje para
functionaries in
nuestros
the United
functioners de
States?
Estados Unidos?
Felicitarlos, yo
Well,
estoy
again, I want to
nuevamente
congratulate you.
felicitarlos, yo
I'm very
estoy muy
excited with
emocionado con los
the results that
resultados
we're seeing
que vamos
every
viendo,
month,
¿no? Mes
and
a
of
mes
course
y
with the
por
ranks
supuesto con
that
los
you're getting
rangos que
every month.
ustedes vienen
And
obteniendo
I
mes a
believe
mes
that the
y creo yo que el
takeaway that I
mensaje
gave you
les di
initially
inicialmente
of
de
having
tener
trust in the product,
confianza en el producto
you've
y
seen that they
nutracéutico
are premium
son formulaciones
formulations. You've seen
premium.
that the
Ustedes han
components
visto que los
that
componentes dentro
exist
de los
inside
productos
FuXion
FuXion
products are
son
selected
ingredientes selectos,
ingredients
son
and are
ingredientes
modern ingredients.
modernos.
They
Representan
represent the
las
best
mejores
natural choices
alternativas naturales
that are
que
existing
existen
right
en
now,
este
or that
momento o
science
que la
is
ciencia
able
es
to
capaz de
provide us with in order
proveernos
to achieve
para
the
lograr
best
las mejores
nutraceutical
formulaciones
formulation.
nutracéuticas. Valoren
You
ustedes
can value
este
this fact.
hecho que parece,
Functioners
claro,
are
los
already
functioners ya están
used to the word
acostumbrados a la
patent,
palabra
but
patente,
the fact that
pero el hecho de que
even
incluso
fiber
la
inside the
fibra dentro
product
del
responds
producto
or is backed by
responda o esté
a patent
respaldada
or
por
by
una
clinical
patente y por estudios
studies
clínicos, te habla muy
speak
bien
out
de la
for
seriedad
the
con la que
seriousness
FuXion trabaja.
that Fusion works with. It
Trabaja
works
para
to
darte
provide you
los
with the
mejores
best products
productos y el
and the
mejor
best
respaldo. Así
support, the best
que de
backup.
verdad
So
yo desde
the
aquí
is
desde
backing.
Perú,
So from Peru, I want to give you a
quiero darte un
message of
mensaje
empowering,
de
of
empoderamiento,
total belief in
de
the products,
creencia total en el producto
and of a
y de
blind
fe ciega
faith
en
in the
los
results that we're
resultados que
going to
vamos a
get
obtener
promoting health.
promoviendo la salud,
Because
porque nuestro
nowadays our
trabajo
job
hoy
is to
por hoy
promote health.
es promover la salud, ¿sí? Yo últimamente digo que
Lately, I've been saying that COVID-19
el COVID-19
that
que ha tenido
has
una
had a
exitosa
disastrous effect in
continuidad
humanity
ha
has
logrado
achieved
algo que
something
hemos
that I haven't
logrado
been
en
able
casi
to achieve
16
in the
años
16 years that I've been
trabajando,
working at FuXion,
que es
which is
hacer
making
reflexionar a la
human
humanidad
beings
sobre
reflect on
su
their
salud.
health.
Y
And
en este
right now,
momento
there are
hay
way
muchísimas
many people
personas
in all the planet,
en todo el
trying to
planeta,
find the best
buscando las
choices
mejores
for their health.
alternativas para
And
su
as I
salud.
am
Y
demonstrating
como
to
yo
you
te
in each
demuestro en
meeting,
cada reunión,
FuXion has
FuXion
the best
tiene las mejores
nutraceutical
alternativas
choices in the
nutracéuticas del
planet
planeta,
with premium
con
ingredients,
ingredientes premium,
with
con ingredientes, vamos a
um,
decir así,
last
de última
generation, latest
generación, por llamarlo
generation
de
ingredients,
alguna
as
manera. Como has visto
you've
tú,
seen
los
prunes,
guindones,
the
la harina de algas, el
seaweed,
mucílago en
meal,
linaza, fibra que
linseed, and
responde a una
fibers that are
cadena respaldada
patented
por
by and
estudios,
backed
en
by
fin,
studies.
una
A
serie de
whole
elementos
lot of
nutracéuticos que
nutraceutical
hacen que
ingredients that
tus
actually make
formulaciones
our
sean
formulations.
realmente, no es una palabra vacía,
It's not a
no es
motto.
un eslogan,
It's not just an empty word. Really,
realmente
we have
tenemos los
the best
mejores
products in the
productos del
planet,
planeta.
and this
Y esto es lo que nos
is
ha llevado al
what
éxito
has
en muchos
taken us to
países
success
y eso
in
es lo
many
que te va a
countries,
llevar
and
al
that's what's
éxito
going
a
to
ti
take you to
en los
success
Estados
in the
Unidos.
United States too.
Y por
And of course,
supuesto,
you always
cuenta
have my
siempre con
help,
mi
my
ayuda, mi
support, my
respaldo,
trust, and
mi
my
confianza
empathy,
y mi
and the one of a
empatía
whole
y la de
team.
todo el
Also,
equipo,
the one
también
of my
la de
dear
mi querida
Christina
Cristina
Habri,
Fabri,
Carlos
la de mi
Taro,
querido
and of a
Carlos
whole
Taro y la de
team
todo el
that's
equipo que está
here
aquí
to
justamente
help
para
you
ayudarte
achieve
a lograr
success.
el éxito.
So let's
Así
continue
que
to get
sigamos
ahead,
adelante,
my dear friends
amigos
from the United
de
States.
Estados
Let's
Unidos,
continue to get
sigamos
ahead
adelante
because
porque
we are really
estamos
condemned
realmente
to success.
condenados al éxito.
Así
Exactly,
es.
doctor. With those
Con esas
amazing remarks of our
maravillosas
dear
palabras de
Dr.
nuestro
Ivan
querido
Columbus,
doctor Iván
we will
Columbus,
say
nos
goodbye, dear
despedimos,
Fuxioners
queridos
from the United
Fusioners de
States.
Estados Unidos. Hasta
See
la
you
próxima.
soon, next week,
Las
or
próximas
in the
semanas
following weeks,
tendremos
we have
una
a new
nueva
date
fecha para una
for another
capacitación.
training.
Cuando quieras.
Thank you very much
Muchísimas
for
gracias por
joining us,
acompañarnos,
Doctor.
doctor. A ustedes,
Functioners,
Fusioners,
a
un abrazo
very big
muy,
hug,
muy
and we'll
grande
see you
y nos
soon,
vemos pronto.
very soon. Thanks,
Pronto.
Christina, and thank you
Gracias,
all.
Cristina.